Here's how I made this pizza dough extravaganza. This is a really awesome dinner to make either for kids or with kids if they're old enough to participate. So I started out by making the dough. The pizza dough is 2.5 cups of water and a 1/4 cup of sugar, 3 teaspoons of yeast, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. And if you look at this, you can see that the yeast is working. You can see that it's getting all bubbly just after about 15 minutes of sitting. And I sprinkled a little bit of salt. And next up, I added 6 cups of flour. And you can either use a stand mixer here or you can combine the dough by hand. So today I chose to combine it by hand. And after it starts to get going, you can transfer it onto a board that's floured and just knead it a little bit. And here is the pan that I use. It's just a stainless steel cookie sheet. And I put a little bit of oil and took a paper towel and just spread it around evenly. So here is the part that I want to say kids maybe 4 years and up would like to participate in. Kids love making anything having to do with dough, I've noticed. So if you have little ones, they would probably love this activity. My kids are a little older, so they just love eating the results of this activity. But I started making a little pizza in the corner of the pan. And right here, I started rolling out some garlic knots. So you're just going to roll them out. And then tie them in a knot and stick them on the pan. And you're going to make sure that they're kind of like touching so that we can fit everything that we need to on this pan. There's the little knot. So you can see the garlic knots are in the corner. And in the opposite corners, I have some square pizza. And this was just jarred sauce that was already made. And I just spread it all around. And I took some olive oil and drizzled it over the garlic knots. And this is a little bit of dried parsley. And this is garlic salt. And I sprinkled a little bit on. Okay, now we're going to start working on another little dough creation. So I started by just flattening the dough as best I could into a square shape. This is Nutella. It's a chocolate hazelnut spread. I'm sure you guys knew that already. And this was probably the hardest part of this whole thing. It doesn't like to stick to the dough and spread. It was kind of impossible, but it's okay if it's not neat, because once you roll this up like this and start cutting the chocolatey pinwheels, no one's going to know how hard it was or that it's not exactly even in there, because it still looks good. So it's okay. So I took those chocolate Nutella wheels, stuck them on the pan, and then I made another square. And these pinwheels are going to be sugar and cinnamon. And it's similar to the Nutella ones. You do sugar, cinnamon, And then you roll it up like a log, just like this. And I tried to pinch the edges closed. And then I took my dough scraper and made little pinwheels. This one you have to be kind of careful because the sugar likes to come out. So I tried to not put them upright until they got over near the pan. If they lose their sugar, you can just pick it up with your fingers and sprinkle it back on top. So you can see here we made a lot of progress so far. So I'm sprinkling some olive oil on the Nutella wheels, and I sprinkled some olive oil on the cinnamon sugar wheels. And I put some Parmesan cheese on the garlic knots. And now I am using shredded mozzarella cheese that I'm adding onto the 2 pizzas that were in the corners. So we have a pretty good variety here. We have some desserts and we have some pizza. So for this piece here, I took some dough and I rolled it out, kind of like what I was doing with the garlic knots, but a little more. And I am going to take this string cheese and just wrap it all around. Try to conceal the whole cheese because if any of the cheese escapes, it goes all over the pan. You can see on my end result that I had a tiny bit of cheese get out. I mean, it's okay, but I think it's better to try to keep it inside the dough. So I made 2 of those little string cheese wraps. So right now I am putting the parsley and the olive oil on those garlic knots that I added. This is Italian pizza seasoning that I put on the string cheese wraps and on the pizza. And this is the amount of dough that I had left. So I decided to take a cast iron pan and make a little pizza out of it. So I just put the dough in. I greased the pan with olive oil before that. Put the sauce, put the cheese. Here is the same Italian pizza seasoning that I used on the other tray. And I baked it for about 20 minutes at 350 and about 20 minutes I raised the oven up to 400. And here we are.